Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Hiya Toys Exquisite Mini AVP Alien Queen. And we're actually also looking at the battle damage version, put it over here, of the same figure. We're going to do them both in one review because they're basically the same figure. And I wanted to get them both done in one review. I realize now I screwed the alignment up completely for the intro spin because I didn't account for it being so off-centered. But this thing is pretty cool if you're into aliens. If you're not, then you probably won't care at all. But it's still a pretty cool figure, I guess. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. I'll point out for those of you who care about packaging, the packaging is basically the same. It just says battle damage version for the battle damage one, and it shows it rather than this one. But otherwise, it looks the same. Okay, let's get the box out of the way. We're gonna do most of the review just with the regular one, and then I'll show you the battle damage one first. But it's pretty cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and just do a height measurement. This thing stands, like if you're gonna stand it up like this, it's a little taller than you probably normally would have it. Roughly like this, I guess. It's not the most practical design. Even the NECA one required a clear support to hold it up. This one does too, because they have it leaning forward. It's weird, but I'm gonna just measure it like that. Okay, you can decide for yourself if you like that or not, but it's about 18 centimeters roughly like that, and that's gonna be about 7 inches, and it's closer probably to, no, it's about 7 inches to the top of the head. Lengthwise, with the tail bent, we're looking at like 10 inches. If you stretch the tail out, obviously, it's a lot longer. So, yeah, it's got some real size to it. The aliens are like this tall. So, I don't have one on hand to show you. But it's pretty big. It's nice. It's cool. Okay, question of the day. Do you like the design for the Alien Queen? I've never really cared for it. I don't like the little arms coming out of the chest, and I don't like how much it has to lean forward. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about the aesthetic of this figure, and we're going to do that by showing you both of them at the same time. They are the same figure, except for the battle damage parts, which are not significant, but there are some. Firstly, we get the green paint, so I'll show you the green paint, or yellowish green paint, and some of the battle damage spots. You can see it's like mushy looking here, like it's been busted and the goop's coming out, that kind of thing. So you get a few spots like that where it's battle damaged. You get more cracking and stuff on the carapace. You can see it's significantly different in the sculpt, like for the detail stuff, but for the main stuff it's not. And then if you look at the legs, like this guy has some green back there, this guy has no green. You see how they did that? It's very clever. Let's see on this side if there's anything. I don't believe there's new sculpt anywhere except for the carapace and the head. It looks to me like the only difference is the green paint on the neck and stuff. But you can see there, you can see the scratches and cuts and things for the battle damage. So the battle damage looks really, really cool. If you're into that sort of thing, you can get that one. Otherwise, it's going to be the exact same as this one. Alright, so I'm just going to do this one for the articulation and everything else. The paint job on this guy is pretty cool. You do get a little bit of that brownish gray color throughout, but then you get a lot of the metallic blue, which is on top of the black plastic. And it looks very nice. The sculpt work is very clean on this guy. Girl thing, creature. And it's painted nicely. Now the weird thing to me, and maybe somebody who's more into the Xenomorphs can tell me about this, they made the head completely clear. Like, it's painted on top of the transparent plastic, but the teeth are actually transparent. So I don't know what's going on there. This whole piece is transparent, so I don't know why they did that. You guys can let me know if that makes sense. I always thought it was just the metal teeth, like the silver, like they did the claws, which they did nicely. So all the fingers and toes have the silver on them, but the teeth are not. For this one or the battle damage, it looks weird to me. I don't know why they did that. But otherwise, it looks pretty good. The tail is nice and bendy, so that can pose well. I think if you're into Xenomorphs and stuff, and you're collecting this scale, it's a no-brainer. Get it. If you really hate the way the teeth are, get a silver Sharpie and put some silver on there, and then you'll be fine. But again, I'm not an expert on Xenomorphs, so you guys can let me know about that. Now, as far as accessories go, each one of these guys comes with the same accessories, so we don't have to show you twice. They come with 4 of the little display stands and plenty of the little clippy things. I believe it's 2 per thing. And they come with 2 different internal mouths, a short one and a long one. The short one's pretty difficult to get in. The long one, no problem. That's what she said. And then you also get a little clear display stand, which I'm assuming it's supposed to be pegged onto one of the bases, so that you can support the figure. But it cracked when I pegged it on there, and it came with no other like flat piece to peg that onto. So I don't know what's going on with that. But that's it for accessories. So just display stands, and then the interchangeable mouthpieces. So you don't really need anything, I guess. Maybe some eggs would have been cool, so I'll go 7 out of 10, that's fine, but not having a good way to stand it up with the clear part is kind of a problem. Okay, let's do the articulation. We're going to start with the tail. It's pretty dang bendy, and it's really good because the plastic's thin and the wire's thin, and it's really bendy down at the smaller parts, but you lose bendage right about here. So you got about 1.5 to 2 inches of non-bendage. And then up here, the wire is it's tight enough or stiff enough to hold the pose, but not as well as I would like. I'd like to see a thicker wire in there, but they couldn't really do that because of down here. So I guess it's fine, it's reasonable, no problem there. Doesn't rotate. We're gonna do the hips first. They're just ball sockets, like standard ball sockets. They're not loose though, so that's good. They have a nice bit of resistance to them. You get some rotation around on that because there's a thigh swivel basically in there, and then the ball socket that lets the leg move all the way around every other way, so that's good. The knee joint is your standard swivel hinge. It definitely could be tighter. It's not floppy, but it's definitely a little bit loose, and you'll get some rotation out of that as well. Same joint down here, it's a swivel hinge, so you can really straighten out those legs, make it look like it's walking in high heels if you want to. Or I guess it still looks like that. Either way, you get the joints there. And then the foot joint, let's see what the foot joint is. I didn't look at this yet. Is there no foot joint? Okay, there is. Yeah, it's another swivel hinge. This one was just stuck. So this one, another swivel hinge. Again, you're going to need a display stand to get this thing standing, unless you're going to have it leaning on its tail. So the joints could be tighter in the two intermediary joint section things, but this one's nice and this one's nice, so it's okay. For the torso, it's a ball peg. Very little range though. Not a lot of range at all. Some rotation, but not much range. These guys are on ball pegs, so you can move them around however you want to. The little spiky things, whatever those are, those move, so that's pretty good, nice and stiff. These guys down here, ball peg where they connect, and no elbow joint, no wrist joint. It looks like they're articulated, but they're not. So those just dangle. If you like those, then they're there. I hate those little arms that come off of this thing's chest as a design element. Shoulders are the same basically. It's just a standard ball socket. Pretty decent range. You get a bicep swivel out of it, just like you had the thigh swivel in the back. Elbow joint is just a swivel hinge. Not a ton of range, but some. And then the wrist is... I can't tell. The wrist is it's a single ball peg with a straight peg. Okay, so yeah, it poses well enough in the arms. Like, this thing's not supposed to be in the most dynamic of poses anyway, so that's okay. But it's not great. And then the neck, this whole big neck thing here is on a big ball peg. So you can lean it side to side, up and down. It takes a little bit of force, and some spots are loose and some spots are tight. A little bit of rotation. It's not great. The carapace does slide forward and back, so if you like that, that's good. This head is really loose, and the jaw does open and close, but the whole thing's very loose, and it does move around in there, but it's very, very loose. So not great, but probably good enough. Again, at this scale, I think it's okay, but once we're starting to get into the bigger pieces like this, they can't really rely on the scale to be an excuse for less than great articulation. So I'm going to have to count it as the head's too loose and certain things are a problem. But otherwise, it's not bad. Like, for an alien queen, I think it's going to be fine. I don't think most people are going to be trying to put it in the most crazy of poses. So I think it's fine, but the articulation's not particularly good. I'll give it a 6. Too many loose things for my liking, especially since it already has balance issues. But I think most people are going to be okay with it. If you're collecting aliens, you're not doing it for the articulation for the queen. But, you know, if you wanted to, you're going to have some trouble. So be aware of that. Alright, so final verdict on this release. I don't like that there's no clear way to balance her with that clear display stand. Mine definitely, neither of them came with any clear bases. It was just the like metal grating bases, and when I pegged it in, it cracked. So not great, definitely not good at all, in fact. So that's definitely an issue, but it does look good. Like, it's going to look good on a shelf. If you're into the Hiya aliens, this is going to look as good as any of them. It's going to look really nice on a shelf. Put it up against the AVP Preds, and it's going to look awesome. You're not going to care about the little details once it's on the shelf, so you can decide for yourself what's important. I'm going to give it an overall rating of 7. There are just some definite problems. Both of them get a 7, by the way. There are some definite problems, but overall it's a pretty cool piece, and I think they mostly did a good job. Definitely some loose joint issues and some weird stuff, but I think it's pretty solid, and I think you guys will enjoy it if you're into this sort of thing. So there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down, and if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos almost every single day, and thousands already on the channel, so make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.